Hello everyone and welcome to a completely new month in 2020. Hopefully no new nasty discoveries will be made this year, and we are continuing the good stuff. It's our 1858 odds match between Reverend John Owen and Paul Charles Morphy, and this is the last game we'll be showing from their match, as it is quite an interesting one, but there are more matches to be shown from the Morphy Saga. So this one is a really awesome game, and it features two very nice pause-the-video moments, so I do hope you enjoyed it. You will enjoy it. Owen again opens with e4, and Morphy replies with the d6. We're not going to be naming any openings, as Morphy is playing without his f-pawn. So d4 by Owen and knight to f6. And here already the fun starts, as Owen taunts Morphy with bishop to c4. He wants Morphy to capture on e4, which would unleash a very unpleasant attack for white. And Morphy has to decide whether he wants to keep developing or grab the e4 pawn. And if Morphy would go for the e4 pawn, then we just go into the very nice queen h5 check, g6, and now queen to d5, going for the knight and for queen to f7. So best for black would be just to retreat with the knight, knight f6, attack the queen and force this. Queen f7 check, king d7, bishop to e6 check, king c6, d5 check, and now after the king moves, we will get this position where black king wouldn't be in the greatest of squares, but Morphy's seen worse positions against Owen in this odds match, so maybe it would be possible to play this. But Morphy doesn't go for this. Morphy just continues developing. He doesn't go for the e4 pawn. Knight to c6, and now knight to c3. Owen also continues with development. We have e6 by Morphy and knight to f3. And Morphy strikes in the center with a d5 like he would if he was playing a normal game. We have bishop to d3 and now bishop to b4, putting pressure on the knight, which means putting pressure on the e4 pawn, as you are pinning one of the defenders. So bishop to g5, probably just capturing here, or something like e5 is also playable, but bishop to g5 is well, maybe not all that impressive, because it forces white to make decisions. Morphy just plays h6, and now he asks, what do you want to do here? Do you want to capture on d5? Do you want to play bishop captures on f6? But Owen again goes for the, in the spirit of Barnes, goes for e5. He really wants to give this bishop to g6 check. And it's not a position without any poison, as you'll see. Morphy captures on g5 with bishop to g6 with check, king to f8, and now knight captures on g5. And now it's not really an easy decision for black. So there's only one move that really gives Morphy the advantage. And now feel free to pause the video here. You're getting attacked, Barnes style by Owen. Feel free to pause the video and find the best move for black while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on cracking not at all an easy position. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, rook to h6 is the move for black here. If you try anything weird like moving the knight, for example, knight e4, then queen f3 just gets the job done for white. If you move the king, you're getting queen f7, so you'd have to move the knight back. And then knight f7 comes attacking the queen, the rook, the knight will also fall. Black just falls apart here. So here Morphy does play rook to h6, and it is a problematic move for white, because now it's white who needs to make a decision. Now the whole point of rook to h6 is that after knight f7, which attacks both queen and the rook, queen e8 is really awesome. Now knight captures on h6, you play queen captures on g6, and you attack the knight. There's no good square for the knight. So after pawn captures, you're going to play queen captures on h6. After f captures on g7 with check, you're going to recapture, and after white attempts to check your king, you will move the king, and you will have this position where it's going to be a really good position for black. Your king is a bit oddly placed, but you do have a knight and a bishop for white's rook, and white still has to decide what to do. Even if you castle queenside to defend the pawn, even ideas like knight captures are possible, followed by pushing of the pawns. So black is definitely better here, and this is what Morphy had in mind when he played rook to h6, I presume. So bishop back to d3 by Owen, and now not capturing the pawn right away. First, Morphy improves the position. Still moving the knight just results in queen to f3 check. You do not want to allow this. So king to g8. Now Morphy is ready to move the knight, but now of course Owen captures it. So pawn captures. We have queen captures on f6. And now, as the knight is again threatened on g5, knight back to f3. And now it seems like everything is perfectly fine. White captured some pawns, went back, and now still gets to enjoy his extra pawn, but not really, because here Morphy goes for e5. And now there's already a threat of, well, e captures on d4, just attacking the knight, but more even just e4 with a double attack on the bishop and the knight. So here the captures, we have knight captures, and again Owen in a very unpleasant position. Best for Owen here would be just to capture the knight on e5, and you would have to go into this queen captures on e5 check. Queen e2 isn't good because of the bishop captures on c3 with check, followed by captures captures. So king f1 would have to be played, and now rook captures here. Rook captures, queen captures, and now well, white is in a pretty bad position, but he actually gets to hang on with queen to f3. You actually don't care about queen to h1 check, but things like this, you know, seeing things like this in 1858 would require a lot of time over the board and a lot of concentration, which I don't think anyone in those days really committed to, unless it was like a really important game. The point is that after queen to h1 check, you can just move the king, and if queen captures here, you get queen captures on d5, and now you're just doing very well. If king to h8, then queen d8 will just deliver checkmate as the bishop covers the h7 square, of course after bishop blocks and captures. And if king f8, then bishop g6 just poses a lot of problems for black. And even though black gets to avoid being checkmated, he will have to give up a lot of material to avoid it. For example, to avoid checkmate, you need to play something like bishop g4 check, f3, and now rook checks. White will give up the bishop, but now, for example, you can just check the king and now pick up the bishop. For example, king to f7, you're going to capture on b4, and you're just going to have a better position, and you're even up a pawn. So that's what would happen. So point being, after queen to f3, black doesn't go for this check followed by captures. Black can just defend his pawn, and now the game can continue with white really, you know, grasping for straws here. You'd have to go bishop to f5. To again go for this check if black attempts something like this. So after bishop to f7, you finally go queen h3, force a queen trade, and then you continue playing this endgame, which is, well, with best play, white will probably be able to draw this. However, that's a lot to expect for someone from, you know, playing this game in 1858. So here, instead of capturing on e5, Owen just castled, but now there's a problem. Feel free to pause the video and win this game for white the fastest way possible. Well, I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not capturing the knight, because even though this gives you a favorable position, it doesn't give you any you know, real winning advantage. You will be better here, but nothing special. However, for those of you who found queen to f4, this is now a really big threat, because now you're just threatening to capture the knight with check, and after queen or pawn recaptures, you're going to play queen captures on h2 with checkmate, because now removing the defender of checkmate comes with check. So you don't really have any good options here. If g3, then just the knight hangs with check. Not much can be done about that. And if another thing is played, well, it's not much better. Here, your options are like h3, h4, something like that, or maybe even rook to e1, making room for the king, but none of it actually works. Rook to e1 is the most resilient option. However, Owen went for pawn to h4. If pawn to h3, it's not much better. Here, Morphy can just give up the rook, and it still ends in checkmate. For example, knight captures on f3 with check, as the f3 knight is no longer defended. And after king moves, you're going to play bishop captures on h3 with check, remove the king, and now queen h4 check, king g2, queen g4 check, king's going to move, and now queen to h3 checkmate. So this is what happens if you go for h3. So Owen went for h4, but now Morphy just gets the job done. Now he just plays knight captures on f3 with check, queen captures, and queen captures on h4. Now threatening both queen to h2 or queen to h1 checkmate. So g3 doesn't really give you anything, even though you can guard the h1 square, you cannot guard the h2 square. So here Owen played queen captures on d5 with check, but Morphy just defended with bishop to e6, and it was in this position on move 18 that Reverend John Owen resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You're either getting checkmated, or if you want to defend against checkmate to make an escape route for a king, then you give up the queen, and of course there's nothing something more to be done here, which Owen knew, and of course here he resigned the game. And even though Morphy lost that famous game where Owen played the Owen's defense, probably gave birth to Owen's defense in that game, Morphy then challenged him to a match, and in the 7 games they played, Morphy won 5 games without the F-pawn, and 2 of the games were drawn. So Morphy did not lose a single game in this match. So that's all there is to the match with Owen. I do hope you guys enjoyed that. And now Morphy is still waiting to face Staunton, Howard Staunton. That's why he came all the way to London. And here the thing is, after this match, Staunton postponed his match against Morphy one more time. I'm going to read you a very, very short part from David Lawson's book about Paul Morphy. It goes, yet it was Staunton with whom Morphy most desired to play. However, very soon after their first meeting, Staunton asked that their match be postponed until after the Birmingham meeting in August. We already mentioned that during the saga. Morphy agreed to this second postponement, and Staunton affirmed the agreement in the Illustrated London News. So on the 10th of July 1858, it said in the Illustrated London News, Mr. Morphy has preferred to play Mr. Staunton a match of 21 games for a stake of £500 a side, and the latter has accepted the challenge, conditionally that the terms of play are such that he can agree to without infraction of his present literary engagements. Basically meaning that Morphy needs to present such a challenge that Staunton can, accept the challenge without it being too much of a problem for him, as he's a very busy guy, obviously. As there appears every disposition on the part of his opponent to meet his wishes, in this respect, the match will probably take place in London shortly after the Birmingham chess meeting, well, that's all we know for now during this saga. And while Morphy is waiting for his match with Staunton, he will now again face against his old friend Lowenthal. We already showed a few games from their match in the 1850, where Lowenthal played Morphy when he was still not even a 13-year-old boy. And now, of course, Lowenthal needs to clear his name, as now he again gets his chance to face off against Morphy, and he challenges Morphy to another match. And this is the match that we are going to cover next in the Paul Morphy saga. That's the game and the match against Reverend John Owen. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Eric Atencio Harris, Frank Combs, Nick Blackwell, Wes Allendale, and Gokul G for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.